Good morning to one and all present here. I am Bianca from SSN College of Engineering. So now I'm going to be discussing about my project with this breath rate and incubator parameter prediction in infants using machine learning. So abnormal breath rates is when the breath rate of a person is not in a normal place and it is like it has some variation. It can occur generally due to a result of worsening or underlying respiratory problem or an ailment. So this abnormal breath rate is going to be really serious when it comes to something as as tender and as delicate as a premature baby in an incubator. So an abnormal breath rate in such a child indicates that something is seriously wrong with that child. So like abnormal breath rate and abnormal heart rate can pretty much identify if that child is going to be is fit for survival or not. And these are generally found at a very later stage. So that is what our project is trying to address. Prediction of incubator parameters. So what are incubator parameters? In the first thing, incubator parameters are the temperature at which the incubator is being set and the humidity which is being set in the incubator for the optimum functioning of the incubator and to make sure that the child inside the incubator is placed at the most comfortable condition for it. And it also not only in like raising childs, it can also be used to it can be also used to increase hatchability in farms. So like we want to predict the exact value of incubator parameters that we are going to set. So the input that we are going to take from the user is the age of the infant, weight of the infant in grams, the room temperature, room humidity, because we may determine a value of temperature and humidity that has to be set. But if the surrounding is not at a constant temperature and humidity and it is going to vary, of course it's going to vary the temperature that is going to be inside the incubator for optimum working as well. Then heat out of the incubator. So what is heat out of the incubator? Any machine that we are using emits heat out of it. For example, when we use air conditioner, it emits heat out of it, right? So that particular heat that the incubator emits out can be used to predict what kind of incubator it is, and that is also used for predicting the incubator parameters. Breath rate and volume. The study also aims to find the breath rate and the breath volume of the child. So the breath rate is going to be measured in number of breaths per minute, and the breath volume is the volume in ml per minute. So the age of the child in weeks, the breath volume of the child, room temperature and room humidity. With all these values, the approximate value of the breath rate and the breath volume of the infant can be estimated. This is the external circuit that is connected. As we can see, we have connected a DHT11, which is a store-bought sensor, which is connected to the Arduino board for measuring the temperature and humidity. So we are actually using this as a setup inside the incubator to measure the temperature and humidity that would be maintained there. So as we know, like the accuracy of store-bought like humidity sensors such as DHT11 will not be that good because it's commercially fabricated and we cannot rely much on it. So in case we want to add our own humidity sensor, how do we do it? So this is the image showing the like made humidity sense. So yeah, so like in case we are using our own humidity sensor for increasing the accuracy, we can use this sensor which was fabricated. And for this sensor, the output is going to be given in resistance values. So we have to convert that to relative humidity. And for that also ML code was written. So currently this is the external setup. ML code. So what are the features that we are trying to cover in our GUI app? Sign up and login page with database integration, a register that contains all the previous records which retrieves the data from the cloud, customized dashboard which will have the person who is logging in's name, and the facility to add new records and to get the prediction result immediately of what incubator temperature and incubator humidity we have to set. And based on the weight and the age of the child, we also get this prediction of the breath rate and the breath volume of the child. A telegram bot integration, therefore anyone can access the data easily without actually having to install this particular app in their system. The added values are sent to the cloud immediately as well, so that they can be retrieved later for future use. So what is the novelty of this study? So use of decision variables such as the age and the weight. Generally, for predicting incubator parameters, others like other papers that I've seen so far go with this idea of, they take the surrounding temperature and humidity. They go with parameters of the particular incubator itself, like the tungsten content in it and etc. But we have actually gone for something like the age and weight of the age and weight of the child used. So like setting the temperature and humidity is customized for each particular child, which will make sure that the child is kept in a very comfortable place, and the chances probabilities of success is maximum. The prediction of optimum breathing rate in infants also can be done. So in case the breathing rate of the infant is going to be lesser, we can easily say that for this particular weight and this particular age of this infant, age in weeks of this infant, this particular breath rate should be there. In case it's any lesser, we can easily come into this conclusion that this child is not doing well. Adding a fabricated sensor plus code to boost the accuracy. Generally studies they go on with store bought sensor, but here we have actually used a sensor that was fabricated, and we have also written code to incorporate it. So now I'm going to be explaining about the GUI system of the app. This is the welcome login screen. So here we have this place to fill in the username and password. It works just like the login screen of fancy apps, and it has a database attached to it. So only when you are registered user, you will be able to log inside, and the data of all the registered users is maintained separately. And in case you try to log in without filling in one a field, you get an error. In case the user does not exist, also it gives you invalid username or password. And this is a sign up screen. In case you don't have an account, you can always create a new account in the sign up screen. This is how the dashboard will look like. As you can see, it renders my name over here. So based on the name that you have given during the login process, when you have registered, that name is going to be displayed here from the dashboard, like from the database. It's retrieved and it's displayed over here. And if I click on to the register option, I would be taken to the hospital register, which contains all the data that has been put in earlier. It is all retrieved and put in front of us. It's retrieved from the cloud. And this is adding new patient. So we can see the input parameters are the gestational age in weeks, weight in grams, heat out of the incubator, room temperature and room humidity. And when we click on the predict button, the result is predicted and displayed, and immediately it is also added to the cloud. So this is the telescreen. So if I click, I want to activate the telebot, the telegram bot would be activated. So when you send any message to this telegram bot, you will get a response immediately. So this is the cloud that we are using. With this, we can visualize the data that is being entered as well. So we
Okay, so now let us see how this teleport actually work. So it is actually a telegram bot. Now we may have a question of why telegram of all the different social media platforms that we have here. The reason being that creating a bot in telegram is very simple and very easy. we can easily create it with bot master and bot rates and the incubator that is being measured by the external setup that is set up, that is given, and the temperature of the incubator that has to be set for the optimum functioning, and the humidity of the incubator that has to be set, while slash rate command gives the current temperature, current humidity that is being set, which is measured by the external setup, and the birth rate of the child, which is placed inside the incubator. So now let's see how it works. So the bot responds with the particular values of this patient.
So what were the processes involved in making of this product? Simplifying the problem and identifying patterns, collecting the required data, building of the predictive model, predicting the result, and presenting. Advantages of this study. It is a very easy way of determining the breath rate and the breath volume. Since we are not taking any samples or anything, we are just going to take the age of the child and the weight of the child, and we are going to predict the approximate breath rate that it should have for that particular age and that particular weight. It is a contactless process. You do not need to have any contact for this process, because like for something as fragile and delicate as a premature baby, even a small contact could be very, it is easily susceptible to different infections. So even a small contact could be deadly, and it's a contactless process. Since relative humidity is used, the sources of error is less. Periodically and easily, the incubator parameters can be predicted. It's profitable because this is a new approach. I believe that markets and industries would be willing to expend in this, and it uses a different approach. So, this is the SWOT analysis. Thank you. This is the login or the welcome page of our particular app. Here we have to enter the username and password to get enter inside. So, in case you don't have an account in this particular app, you have to go to the sign up page. So, it will ask us to enter our name. But before that, if we try to sign up without entering anything, it would give the message of please fill in all fields. Okay, sign up. New user is added to the database successful. Please log in. So, now I can go back to the login page and try to log into my account. So I clicked on login, and yeah, this is the dashboard of our particular app. So based on the input value of the name that you have given, the name is retrieved from the dashboard and it is displayed here. Whatsoever name you had given in while creating your account, that name is going to be retrieved and you are going to be greeted based on that particular name. So, first, we are going to see how to add the new patient. So, I was talking about predicting the incubator parameters, right? But for predicting the incubator parameters, we are using a machine learning code. So, for that, we are going to give certain inputs to the particular Python code, which will work in the backend. So, like we are giving input like the gestational age in weeks, the weight in grams of the particular child, heat out of the incubator. Heat out being the heat given out of the incubator when it is functioning. Like, for example, we are using any particular machine, right, or even a air conditioner for that matter, we are going to get some exhaust air, right, the heat of that in particular incubator. Usually it will be directly given in the incubator itself, it will be displayed. If not, or not, if it's not given, we can always measure it. And the room temperature and room humidity, actually the room temperature and room humidity is actually optional. They can choose to leave it. I had added this because the room temperature and room humidity varies from place to place. We cannot even fix it constant for a particular city, because it depends upon the temperature in which the particular incubator is placed, right? In that room, in case if the temperature is really more, estimating it based on the city's temperature and humidity can also give faulty results. Or if that is totally fine for the particular user, they can always omit this. In case they are omitting it, we have code for that. So yeah, this is the code where in case they haven't written anything about the room temperature, we can get it from open weather map, which will update its temperature and humidity every hour. So I had entered the city as Chennai, and the temperature we have got it is 302.57, atmospheric pressure of 1012, and humidity of 87 percentage. That is the relative humidity. So it is optional for them to fill in those two data. So for the gestational age in weeks, I'm going to enter 34, which includes the weeks, the age of the particular child from when it has been in the womb of the mother itself. Then weight in grams, I'm going to give around 2 kgs, 2.4 kgs. Heat out of the like incubator, let's give it as 45. Room temperature of 34, 32. Room humidity, I'm going to give 67. So based on these input values, we are going to get output values. So the output values are very, very crucial, which enable us to decide what should be the temperature and what should be the humidity that should be set in the particular incubator for the optimum like working of the incubator, and so that the child is in a very comfortable position. That is the main end result out of this. So I can click the predict button. So immediately after I click the predict button here in the Python code, I'll be getting the output. So the incubator humidity that is measured based on the machine level programming language is 52.4756. That is the incubator humidity that I have to set for the optimum working of the incubator. An incubator temperature of 32 degrees Celsius, respiratory rate of the child and the respiratory air volume of the child is also measured using ML code. So the respiratory rate of the child is also determined based on the, based on the data from hospitals about how, what particular respiratory rate an average child of that age group and that weight will have, because the age group and the weight of the child pretty much determines the health of that particular child. And the respiratory air volume is the volume in ml of the child per minute. Respiratory rate is also volume, like respiratory rate per minute. And it is also mentioned over here, and it says the value is added to the cloud successfully, so that we can retrieve it for future use and the data does not get lost, and it is always accessible. And so even though after years we can retrieve that data and see to dashboard. So now I'm going to the register. Yeah. So this is the register which has data of all the like all the inputs that you have given and the outputs that are generated. The temperature that is measured, humidity measured. So the temperature measured and humidity measured is actually the current temperature and current humidity of the incubator. We are going to place a humidity sensor and a current sensor inside the incubator, and this is the incubator temperature and incubator humidity that should be set by us for optimum working condition. So it means that the for example, if I'm taking the third value, the current temperature inside the incubator is 33.4, and the incubator temperature that should be set is also around that only, 33.45. And the incubator like the humidity measured is around 63, but we need only 58 percentage of humidity for proper functioning. So all this data is documented, and the respiratory rate of the child, the volume in ml, of the child and when this data was created is also documented, so that later on we can see when this particular input was given to this system. Later we can retrieve those data if we want. So we are going to send notification method. So actually, we are trying to, use bot that is of the Telegram bot to access this data. So, like, just in case if this technician or the doctor is in some other location and they want to access the data or they want to see what is happening with the child, they can use this method. So, based on this method, there is going to be a bot, Telegram bot, which would forward all the data that of the measured all the measured data to the doctor or the health professional about the temperature of the humidity, that temperature of the incubator that has to be set, the humidity of the incubator, and the respiratory rate, volume in ml of the child, so that even from a far off location they can constantly monitor everything about the child. And also the temperature of the incubator and the humidity of the current value that is set is also sent to them. So in case I click on OK to activate the telebot, I get a message over here that the bot is started. So I'll show you the working of this bot in my phone.
Okay, so now let us see how this teleport actually work. So it is actually a telegram bot. Now we may have a question of why telegram of all the different social media platforms that we have here. The reason being that creating a bot in telegram is very simple and very easy. We can easily create it with bot master and a bot father, and also like multiple users can simultaneously access this bot. That those two were the reasons why I decided to go with telegram bot. So there are actually two commands, slash rates and slash dht. So slash dht would give actually the current temperature of the humidities, like the incubator, and the current humidity of the incubator that is being measured by the external setup that is set up, that is given, and the temperature of the incubator that has to be set for the optimum functioning, and the humidity of the incubator that has to be set. While slash rate command gives the current temperature, current humidity that is being set, which is measured by the external setup, and the birth rate of the child, which is placed inside the incubator. So now let's see how it works. So the bot responds with the particular values of this patient. Yeah. So we get all the values that we are to get from this bot. And we can also say thank you to the bot. It responds by saying welcome.
So now we are back to this screen. So now I'm going to click on cancel since we are no longer using the bot. We get this message that the bot is terminated. So that is all about this app where we use telebot to transfer the data to the doctors or the technicians who live at remote location, and PyQt5 for the GUI, MySQL for the database for storing information about the login info, Cloud we use ThinkSpeak, and the ML code in the backend for the prediction of the data, and Arduino for the external setup to determine the practical values of the temperature and humidity inside the incubator. Log out and click on this to exit.